I wanna be where the people are. I wanna see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, feet. Hello. So, I'm here today because I want to read you some stories. But before I read you some stories, I'm going to change into something more comfortable because I just got back. I was just walking around on the beach with Eric and we were just having a good time. And for whatever reason, I decided to pull this old thing out of the closet. Kind of surprised I still have it. But anyways, it's great for walking on the beach, this sail dress. But anyways, I'm going to go change into something more comfortable and then we'll read some stories. So I'll see you in a minute. So I'm back. I'm in something much more comfortable. And I have to say, ever since Vanellope introduced us to these comfortable clothing, this nice casual stuff, I can't get enough of it. It's great. It's just nice to be able to sit down and read a good book and be comfortable. So I'm super happy about comfortable clothing. So I hope you're wearing something comfortable. And let's get started on this story. It's called Treasures of Old. It's a story from my past. All right. Let's make sure you can see this. King Triton's staff was in a flurry. In 1 week's time, a great banquet would be held in honor of the king's neighbor, King Mariner. Triton had much respect for the old merman and wished everything to be perfect for his guest. So, it was not surprising that the king summoned his trusted court composer Sebastian to help with the preparations.
Sebastian, King Triton began, I am especially anxious to introduce King Mariner to my devoted daughters. He only has sons, I'm afraid, and has always longed for a daughter of his own. The least I can do is share their company with him for one evening.
But of course, sire, Sebastian replied. Would you like me to compose something special for the occasion?
Not exactly.
Triton continued as he and Sebastian swam together.
When the big night arrives, I want all my girls to be on their best behavior, especially Ariel. I'm afraid that without a mother to guide them, they may not know everything proper young mermaids should. Do you think you can teach them all what they need to know in just 1 week?
Just leave it to me, sire, Sebastian reassured him. The next day, Sebastian gathered Triton's daughters together and announced a schedule of classes to begin immediately. He also excitedly shared his plans to surprise both kings with a dazzling concert at dinner's end.
Any questions? Sebastian finished.
I have one, called Flounder, who had been watching from the sidelines. Where's Ariel? Here I am, she cried, swimming to join her sisters. I'm sorry, Sebastian. I must have lost track of the time. Sebastian just shook his head. Everyone knew Ariel was always late, if she remembered to show up at all. Oops.
Ariel, he announced grandly, you're in for a treat. Today's lesson, sit up straight and tall. Posture. Ariel just rolled her eyes. She had cut a treasure hunt for this.
Every day, Sebastian tried to teach the young mermaids more good manners, and every day Ariel disrupted the lesson. For example, during the class on polite dinner conversation, Ariel pretended she had the hiccups and made her sisters howl with laughter. But every time King Triton asked Sebastian how the lessons were coming, the crab just smiled a great big smile and said, Splendid, sire. Just splendid. One day, Ariel didn't go to class at all. Instead, she and Flounder decided to go for a treasure hunt at their favorite shipwreck. Won't Sebastian be angry with you? Flounder asked. He's probably happy I'm not there to distract my sisters, Ariel giggled. Besides, what's so important about this silly old banquet anyways? Well, it seems important to your dad, Flounder replied. Maybe you'll even have a good time. I doubt it, Ariel told him. I'm sure the king's very nice, but he's so old. What would I have in common with him? He and my father will have a great time while my sisters and I try not to fall asleep. Just then, Flounder happened upon an interesting-looking trinket in the galley, and the banquet was soon forgotten. The banquet was still far from Ariel's mind when the big night arrived. I've been looking all over for you, Sebastian exclaimed when he found her. King Mariner will be arriving any minute. Hurry, go get ready and join your sisters in the dining hall at once. Ariel raced back to the palace, combed her hair, and put on her best seashell bracelet. She hurried to the dining hall and saw that she was the last to arrive. The only empty seat was beside King Mariner. As their guests pulled out Ariel's chair, King Triton shot her a disapproving look. Secretly, though, he was relieved. At least Sebastian had managed to round her up this time. The little mermaid sat up straight in her chair. She smiled politely as food was served. Since she hadn't paid much attention at Sebastian's classes, she wasn't sure what she should do. She watched her sisters and tried her best to copy them. She waited until everyone was served to begin eating. When King Mariner began to speak, she tried to look as interested as she could. But soon Ariel realized she didn't have to pretend to be interested. The old man was full of fascinating stories. And one tale in particular held the little mermaid spellbound. It seemed that once upon a time, a pirate ship had sunk right in the middle of Mariner's kingdom. We made a record of what was inside for generations to come, King Mariner told his rapt audience. Then, the old man reached into his pocket and brought out a large document. Please, no more talk of fish eaters, King Triton said with alarm. But it was too late. The document was already unfurled, revealing detailed drawings of human belongings, both strange and familiar. Wow! Exclaimed Ariel. There's a snarflat! You know what these things are called? Asked King Mariner in surprise. King Triton looked upset. I'm sorry to say that my daughter has a fascination with the human world, he explained. What a coincidence! King Mariner exclaimed. I do too. So you can imagine my excitement when I had a chance to study their artifacts up close. Ariel and her sisters pored over the sketches. Though King Triton was uncomfortable with all this talk of the human world, he kept silent. After all, King Mariner was his guest. Still, he hoped tonight's tale would not stir his youngest daughter's imagination. He had a hard enough time keeping her away from the surface as it was. What happened to the sunken ship? The little mermaid asked. Eventually, what was left of the ship broke apart and drifted away, King Mariner explained. And what became of what was inside the ship? Asked Ariel hopefully. The objects were of no use to us, so after I was done making a study of them, I let most of them go where the tides would take them, the old man continued. You said most, the little mermaid continued, her spirits rising. What happened to the others? Funny you should ask, Mariner said with a twinkle in his eye. He reached under the table and brought out an elaborately carved coral box. The little mermaid sisters got up from their chairs and crowded in closer. Now they were almost as curious as Ariel. King Mariner turned to Triton as he lifted the lid and brought out 7 beautiful necklaces. It would be an honor if you would accept these gifts for your daughters, he said. Triton nodded graciously as his daughter stared in wonder at the sparkling jewels. Ariel could not believe her good fortune. That night, as she said farewell to Sebastian and Flounder, she told them what a wonderful evening she had. Why didn't you tell me King Mariner knew so much about humans? She asked Sebastian. He's so interesting. I didn't know, Sebastian replied. It just goes to show you, life can be full of surprises. So, that was the end of this story, and I have another story for you. But for this story, I'd like to take you into my grotto, and we'll listen and read and have a good time from there. So, off we go! Well, now, we're in my grotto. So, I thought the perfect book to read would be Ariel in the Secret Grotto. So, let's begin. Once, in the days when the mermaid Princess Ariel was still young, and she knew the sun only as a glowing flower glimpsed far away through the vast blue sea, her best friend Flounder swam to her palace garden. Psst, Ariel, I found something I think you ought to see. Why, what is it, Flounder? The little fish twirled with excitement. That's just it. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it before. Ariel followed the curious fish. Far away from the palace, a dark shape rose before them. Oh, Flounder, it's a sunken ship. I've always wanted to explore one. She swam to a porthole and peered in. Something silvery glittered back at her. I'm going in. Ariel squeezed through the open porthole. Inside, she found a treasure trove of artifacts from the human world. There were clocks and candlesticks, paintings and mirrors, even a china figure that danced when Ariel turned the key. The little mermaid darted from treasure to treasure. Isn't this wonderful? What do you suppose it's for? Flounder flipped his fins as she held up a fish hook. Gee, Ariel, that looks sharp. Maybe we shouldn't be in here. What a scaredy fish. There's nothing to worry about. Suddenly, a porthole swung open.
Ariel, I have been looking everywhere. How can you learn to sing if you're always missing your lessons?
It was Sebastian, the royal court composer. I'm sorry, Sebastian, but look, isn't this place fantastic? The tiny crab shook his claw in disapproval. You shouldn't be in here, child. Ships like these from the human world, they are nothing but trouble. But Sebastian, how can something so beautiful be bad? He hopped onto a sea chest. Humans use these ships to sail across the sea. He pointed to the fish hook, and they use these to catch fish. Humans are barbarians. You sound just like my father. Ariel whirled away and put on a beaded necklace, smiling at her reflection in the mirror. Humans are dangerous. That is why the King Triton forbids contact with the human world. And that includes these human things. Flounder came to Ariel's defense. Oh, Sebastian, we're just looking. Don't tell me looking leads to wanting, and that leads to trouble. Ariel held up a tiny candlestick. But it must be such a wonderful world to create such wonderful things. If only I were 15, I'd go up to the surface and see for myself. That is nonsense, Ariel. You know that even if you were old enough, you can only go up there once your 15th birthday. Don't even think such a thought. I'm your teacher. If your father heard you talking like that, I'd be one cracked crab. Sebastian shooed Ariel and Flounder away from the ship, but as she left, Ariel snatched up a jeweled hairpin and hid it in her hands. When Ariel returned to her room, she turned the hairpin over and over. The jewels sent a rainbow of colored light dancing through the castle walls. I don't see how anyone who makes such beautiful things can be bad. So in spite of her father's rule, Ariel was determined to learn more about the human world. In the days and weeks that followed, Ariel and Flounder returned again and again to the ship. Ariel, are you sure this is a good idea? Remember what Sebastian said? Oh, Flounder, he's just a worry fish. She picked up a soup bowl and studied it. Look at this thingamabob. Why, I'll bet all the humans wear these on their heads. Flounder laughed. What a funny-looking crown that makes. Flounder grew bolder. He explored every nook and cranny of the sunken ship, from the crow's nest to the top of its mast to the very bottom of its hull. This is cool.
Ariel opened a chest. It was full of gold coins. "These are pretty." Ariel was delighted at her discovery. Each time Ariel and Flounder visited the ship, Ariel brought one of the treasures out with her. "Don't worry, Flounder. No one will find out. Follow me." Ariel led the little fish to a secret grotto tucked away between a reef and a sea mountain. "This place is perfect. I can keep everything here. And no one will ever know, just you and me." Before long, Flounder and Ariel discovered another shipwreck. And soon they filled the grotto with more curious and oddities from the human world. "Isn't this a fabulous collection? I wish I knew what everything was for." The undersea cavern became Ariel's secret retreat, where she wondered and thought and dreamed about what life was like near the sun. One day, Ariel and Flounder were playing with the treasures in the grotto. Ariel put on a pearl necklace and spun around, pretending to dance. Then all of a sudden, she gasped, "Oh no, I'm gonna be late for my music lesson again." Ariel and Flounder pushed the huge rock that hid the entrance to the grotto into place and swam off. Back at the palace, Sebastian eyed the little mermaid curiously. "There's something different about you these days, Ariel." "You must be imagining things, Sebastian. Listen to my scales." Sebastian pointed accusingly. "Where did you get that necklace? Those don't look like any mer pearls I've seen." Ariel smiled. "Oh, these?" Flounder chimed in. "I found them. I think they look pretty on Ariel. Anyway, all pearls come from the ocean, don't they?" Sebastian frowned, but continued with Ariel's lesson. Ariel whispered to Flounder, "Whew, that was a close one." Later that afternoon, down in the sunken ship, Ariel and Flounder discovered a chamber they hadn't seen before. "Be careful, Ariel. That looks dark and creepy." But Ariel wasn't afraid. She kicked her tail and swam in. Suddenly, the water surged up. A huge tentacle shot out of the blackness and wrapped itself around her. It was a giant octopus. The powerful arm squeezed the little mermaid and began pulling her deeper into the dark chamber. Ariel twisted in its grasp. "Let me go!" But the octopus only squeezed tighter. Flounder darted back and forth, but there was nothing he could do. "Ariel!" The little mermaid wriggled and managed to free her hands. Then she pushed against the tentacles with all her might and gave a mighty kick. She suddenly broke free. Ariel and Flounder swam away as fast as their tails could move them. "I'd better be more careful next time." A few days later, Flounder found Ariel dreaming in her grotto. "Flounder, I've decided I'm not going to wait until my 15th birthday. I'm going up to the surface today." "But Ariel, you can't. It's not allowed." "I don't care. I'm going. I have to see what it's like." She swam resolutely to the grotto entrance. "You don't have to come." Flounder swam after her in alarm. "Ariel, it's too dangerous. Come back, please." But it was no use. She sped upward from the ocean bottom all the way to the bright turquoise water just below the waves. The sun had nearly set when Ariel and Flounder broke the surface of the water. The clouds were rosy pink along the horizon, and a band of gold sparkled and danced upon the sea. Oh, Flounder! I've never dreamed it would be so beautiful." Suddenly, a flock of gulls wheeled towards them, spiraling and darting through the sky. One of them winked as he went by. Flounder quickly dove under the water and then came back up. "Wow, what were those?" "I don't know. Maybe fish that can fly?" "Look, Flounder, over there! Is that land?" Ariel dove and swam just under the surface towards the shore. When they were still a good distance away, she bobbed to the surface again. "Oh my gosh, is that a little boat?" As she watched, the boat came closer. She would be seen. She ducked back under the water and swam away. but just a little bit. This was her chance to find out more about the human world, and she wasn't going to lose it. A small boy and girl sat in the tiny rowboat, trailing their fingers in the water. Ariel looked up at them from beneath the waves. She was so close. Suddenly, there was a splash. "Oh no, my dolly! I dropped it!" Ariel dove after the doll as it sank through the water. She caught it and hugged it to her. So this is what humans look like. She spun away from the boat in joy and didn't even notice the little boy had dropped a fishing net into the water. Ariel swam far below the boat, clutching the doll. She was safely out of sight. Even the children looked down into the water. The little girl was still upset. "I've lost my doll." The boy reached over the side of the boat. "Never mind that. I caught something." Below the water's surface, Flounder was struggling. "Ariel! Ariel, help!" Flounder was caught in the net. Ariel didn't know what to do. The boy hauled up the net and the boat began to move away. Ariel let go of the doll and hurtled up toward the boat. But as she drew closer, the boy leaned over the side. "Aw, this is just a little guy." He gently slipped Flounder back into the water. "Back you go, fella." Flounder wiggled his fins faster than he had ever swam back to Ariel. His eyes were as big as sand dollars. "Did you see that?" "Oh, Flounder, I was so worried." Ariel hugged her friend. Ariel watched the little boat floating away. She thought about how those kind humans had set Flounder free. Suddenly, she streaked down through the water, snatched up the doll, and bobbed up to the surface again. "I wish I could keep this, but they were so nice. I ought to give it back. But how? I can't let them see me." "Need help, sweetie?" It was the gull that had winked at her. "I can fix it for you." He took the doll in his beak, flew over to the boat, and dropped it into the arms of the little girl. Just then, Sebastian popped to the surface. "Ariel, there you are. What are you doing up here, young lady?" "Oh, your father is gonna bust his scales when he finds out about this. This is terrible. What if a human saw you? You'd wind up on a hook. For sure. You two come home with me this minute." Ariel took one last look at the sky, filling her heart with its beauty. "All right, Sebastian, we'll come home now." Then, just before they dove under the sea, she winked at Flounder. "But I'll be back." The little mermaid promised herself this was just the beginning. Ariel knew Sebastian and her father must be wrong about the humans. She had seen for herself how kind they could be. She hoped someday, somehow, she would be part of their world. And that was my story about the time I found a lot of stuff and put it in my grotto. But I decided to go to land before I was 15, and then I saw two humans in a boat. They were just young children, and they were so kind. So it was great to see humans, and I'm so glad to be among all of you wonderful people. And it was great reading with you today, and I truly, truly hope to see you again soon. Bless your heart. I'll see you later.